Growth don't disappear overnight. It fades slowly, quietly, every time you dodge responsibility. Every time you point somewhere else instead of looking in the mirror. People think growth is about motivation, about feeling inspired, about wanting it bad enough. That's a lie. Growth is about ownership, about standing 10 toes down on what you did, what you didn't do, and what you allowed. The moment you stop taking responsibility, progress starts leaking out of your life like air from a tire, and you don't even notice until you're stuck on the side of the road wondering why nothing's moving. Lack of accountability is dangerous because it feels comfortable. It lets you sleep at night. It lets you blame circumstances, people, timing, the system, the past, and some of those things are real, no doubt. Life isn't fair. The game isn't balanced. Everybody don't start at the same line. But accountability ain't about pretending the odds are equal. It's about understanding that no matter where you start, you're still responsible for how you run your race. The world doesn't reward explanations. It rewards results. When you avoid accountability, you give your power away. Think about that. Every excuse you make is you handing control to something outside yourself. Now your mood depends on people. Your progress depends on luck. Your future depends on someone finally understanding you. That's a weak position to live from. Strong people don't wait to be understood. They get clear, get disciplined, and move accordingly. Accountability forces honesty, and honesty hurts before it heals. It makes you admit you wasted time, that you stayed too long in places that didn't grow you, that you knew better but did worse. Most people don't fail because they can't win. They fail because they won't face that truth. They'd rather protect their ego than protect their future. But ego is expensive. It costs you years. It costs you relationships. It costs you potential. See, growth requires correction, and you can't correct what you refuse to admit. If every loss is somebody else's fault, you'll repeat it forever. Same problems, different faces. Same lessons, different years. Accountability is what breaks cycles. It's what turns pain into information. Instead of asking, why did this happen to me? You start asking, what is this trying to teach me? That shift alone will elevate your whole life. People talk about leveling up, but they skip the part where you sit alone and audit yourself. No cameras, no applause, just you and the facts. Where did you fall short? Where did you procrastinate? Where did you lie to yourself? That process ain't glamorous, but it's necessary. Discipline is built in those moments. Maturity too. You don't grow by pretending you're perfect. You grow by admitting you're not and doing something about it. Lack of accountability also poisons relationships. When you never take responsibility, trust dies. People stop believing your words because your actions never change. You keep apologizing without adjusting. That's not accountability. That's manipulation. Real accountability shows up in behavior, inconsistency, in change patterns, not in speeches. And here's the part most people don't want to hear. Nobody's coming to save you. Not emotionally, not financially, not spiritually. Support can help, but responsibility is solo. Your life moves at the speed of your decisions, not your intentions. Once you accept that, everything changes. You stop waiting. You stop complaining. You start building. Accountability is freedom, even though it feels heavy at first. Because once you accept responsibility, you realize you also have control. You can learn, you can pivot, you can rebuild. You're no longer stuck explaining the past. You're designing the future. That's power. So if you feel stagnant, don't look around. Look inward. Ask yourself where you've been avoiding ownership, where you've been blaming instead of building. Fix that, and growth won't be a mystery anymore. It'll be a process. Slow, real, earned. And once you lock into that mindset, nothing can stop you but you. Emotion is powerful. It's fuel. It's instinct. It's that raw energy that makes you care, that makes you move, that makes you feel alive. But emotion without discipline is like driving a fast car with no brakes. You might feel unstoppable at first, but eventually you're going to crash. Shouts don't always show up loud. Sometimes it shows up as inconsistency, broken promises, burned bridges, and a life that never quite lines up the way you imagine. A lot of people confuse feeling something deeply with being right. Just because it feels real don't mean it's leading you somewhere solid. Emotion reacts. Discipline responds. Emotion wants relief right now. Discipline is focused on results later. When emotion is in charge, decisions change with the weather. One good day you're motivated, one bad day you're quitting. That up and down lifestyle keeps you busy but never productive. Chaos starts when emotions make decisions they were never meant to make. Anger starts conversations you can't finish. Fear keeps you from taking necessary risks. Excitement makes you overcommit. Sadness makes you withdraw from opportunities. None of these emotions are wrong. They're human. The problem is letting them run the operation without structure, without rules, without standards. Discipline is what gives emotion direction. It's the filter between how you feel and what you do. Without it, you end up saying things you regret, spending money you don't have, trusting people you shouldn't, and quitting when things get uncomfortable. Emotion tells you to escape pain. Discipline teaches you to endure long enough to learn from it. Look at how chaos shows up in real life. People jump from relationship to relationship, chasing a feeling, not building anything. They quit jobs on bad days instead of fixing weak habits. They start projects when motivation is high and abandon them when reality shows up. That's not bad luck. That's undisciplined emotion creating instability. Discipline doesn't mean suppressing emotion. It means mastering it. It means acknowledging how you feel without letting it hijack your direction. You can be angry and still be strategic. You can be hurt and still be consistent. You can be tired and still show up. That's maturity. That's control. That's power. Without discipline, emotion makes everything personal. Feedback feels like an attack. Delay feels like disrespect. Silence feels like rejection. You start reacting instead of observing. And reactions always cost more than responses. They cost relationships. They cost opportunities. They cost credibility. Discipline slows you down just enough to think before you move, speak, or decide. Chaos loves speed. Discipline loves process. Chaos rushes. Discipline plans. Chaos seeks comfort. Discipline seeks progress. When you don't have structure, your emotions will drag you toward whatever feels good in the moment, even if it destroys your long-term vision. That's how people sabotage themselves while feeling justified the whole time. The strongest people aren't emotionless. They're regulated. They don't let temporary feelings rewrite permanent goals. They don't abandon the mission because today feels heavy. They understand that feelings pass, but consequences don't. Every undisciplined emotional decision leaves a receipt, and sooner or later, life collects. Discipline is built in quiet moments when nobody's watching, when you don't feel like it, when the emotion says stop, but the standard says continue. That's where chaos loses its grip, not through motivation, not through hype, but through repetition, through showing up even when the feeling ain't there. When discipline leads, emotion becomes an asset instead of a liability. Passion turns into persistence. Anger turns into focus. Pain turns into purpose. But without discipline, emotion stays wild, unpredictable, and destructive. If your life feels chaotic, check who's in charge. If feelings are driving and discipline is in the back seat, the destination will always be uncertain. Structure your habits, set non-negotiables. Move with intention. Emotion can give you the fire, but discipline is what keeps it from burning everything down. Attention is loud. It flashes. It feels good when it hits. When people notice you, react to you, talk about you, it gives you a rush that feels like progress. But attention ain't movement, it's noise. And if you mistake noise for direction, you'll stay busy while going nowhere. Chasing attention instead of purpose is one of the easiest ways to stay stuck while convincing yourself you're doing something. Purpose moves quiet. It don't beg to be seen. It don't need validation to exist. Purpose shows up early, stays late, and works whether anybody claps or not. Attention, on the other hand, needs an audience. The moment the lights go off, it fades. That's why people who live for attention panic in silence. They don't know who they are without reactions. When you chase attention, your decisions stop being strategic and start being performative. You say things not because they're true, but because they'll get a response. You move not because it's a line, but because it looks good. That kind of movement builds a persona, not a foundation. And personas collapse the moment pressure shows up. Purpose doesn't care if it's trending. It cares if it's building. Attention wants speed. Purpose wants sustainability. Attention asks, how does this look right now? Purpose asks, where does this lead in 5 years? One keeps you reactive. The other keeps you rooted. A lot of people confuse being visible with being valuable. They think if they're seen enough, something will happen. But visibility without substance just makes your flaws louder. Purpose forces you to sharpen your skills, tighten your habits, and stay consistent even when nobody's watching. That's why purpose feels lonely sometimes. There's no crowd in the early stages, just work. Attention addiction is dangerous because it rewires your motivation. You stop doing things because they matter and start doing them because they get applause. When the applause slows down, so does your effort. Now your progress depends on other people's reactions. That's not freedom, that's a leash. Purpose anchors you. It gives you something to return to when the hype disappears. It keeps you grounded when praise comes and focused when criticism hits. Attention makes you emotional. Purpose makes you disciplined. Attention makes you chase. Purpose makes you build. Look at how being stuck really looks, constantly switching directions, always starting over, burning bridges for clout, loud announcements with quiet results. That's attention-driven movement. Purpose-driven movement is repetitive, sometimes boring and extremely effective. Same work, same standards, same direction, day after day. When you live for attention, you measure success by reactions, comments, views, validation. When you live with purpose, you measure success by alignment. Are you closer than you were yesterday? Are your actions matching your values? Are you growing even when nobody sees it? That's real progress. Purpose also protects your energy. When you know why you're moving, you don't waste time explaining yourself to people who don't understand the vision. Attention seekers argue with critics. Purpose-driven people keep working. They know results speak louder than reactions. The trap is that attention feels productive. It feels like momentum. But momentum without direction just makes you dizzy. You keep spinning, thinking you're moving forward until you realize you're in the same place, just more tired. Purpose gives movement meaning. It gives effort a destination. If you feel stuck, ask yourself what you're really chasing. Is it impact or is it applause? Are you building something that lasts or something that trends? Purpose don't rush. it don't flex, it don't beg, it commits. When you stop chasing attention and lock into purpose, things slow down, but they also line up. You become harder to distract, harder to manipulate, harder to derail. You stop reacting and start executing, and that's when real progress begins. Confidence is a powerful energy. It moves mountains, opens doors, and makes people listen when you speak. But confidence without learning is dangerous. It's a silent killer. When you stop learning, confidence stops being your ally and starts being your enemy. It becomes ignorance dressed up in swagger, convincing you that you already know enough, that you already got it all figured out. That's how people stay stuck while thinking they're winning. Learning is the fuel that keeps confidence honest. Without it, confidence turns into arrogance. It makes you think you're untouchable when you're actually exposed. You stop asking questions. You stop seeking new skills. You stop listening to people who know more than you. You start making decisions based on pride instead of knowledge, and pride always costs more than it should. Refusing to learn is sneaky. It disguises itself as self-assurance. I don't need that. I already know. I've been doing this long enough. That doesn't apply to me. Every excuse you make is a brick in the wall between you and growth. And the higher you build that wall, the harder it becomes to see the truth on the other side. You think confidence is carrying you, but really it's carrying the seeds of your downfall. Life evolves. The game changes. Skills become outdated. Knowledge that made you relevant yesterday doesn't guarantee you'll be relevant tomorrow. If you stop learning, your confidence is like a car with worn out brakes, fast and flashy at first, but the moment the road curves, you crash. People who keep learning don't just survive, they adapt, they innovate, they dominate. Refusing to learn also makes you blind to your mistakes. Confidence without correction breeds repetition. You keep making the same errors, thinking you're right, while the world passes you by. Learning is a mirror. It shows you where you're wrong, where you're weak, and where you can improve. Ignore it, and confidence becomes delusion. And delusion has a way of making life's lessons hit harder, often when the consequences are irreversible. The world respects humility, not ego. And humility doesn't mean you think less of yourself. It means you're aware of how much you don't know, and you're willing to close that gap. That's how confidence stays sharp and grounded. Without that willingness, confidence turns loud and empty. People stop listening. Doors close, opportunities vanish. You're left with a reputation bigger than your ability, and that's a dangerous place to be. Learning also builds resilience. When you embrace knowledge, mistakes become lessons instead of failures. Every challenge is an opportunity to grow. Without it, challenges feel like attacks. Without it, setbacks feel like proof that the world is against you. But learning turns every setback into a step forward, every problem into a strategy, every failure into fuel. Confidence without learning can't do that. It just folds under pressure. Confidence without learning is also contagious in the wrong way. You influence people with your energy, but if that energy is rooted in ignorance, you're spreading false security. People start relying on your opinions without questioning, trusting your moves without seeing the gaps. That's how ignorance grows silently, not just in you, but in the people who follow you. The moment you commit to learning, confidence transforms. It stops being about proving yourself and starts being about improving yourself. It's calm, steady, unshakable, and wise. You don't need validation. You don't need applause. You move with authority because you've done the work. You've studied the patterns. You've listened to the mentors. You've absorbed knowledge and applied it. That's real confidence. That's power. If you want to keep your confidence from turning into ignorance, make learning a non-negotiable. Seek out those who know more. Read the books you've been avoiding. Embrace feedback instead of rejecting it, and challenge your assumptions relentlessly. Knowledge doesn't diminish confidence. It sharpens it. It makes it real, sustainable, and respected. Stop thinking you're done. Stop thinking you've arrived. Stop confusing past success with permanent wisdom. Confidence without learning is a liability. Confidence with learning is unstoppable. It's the difference between being admired for a moment and being respected for a lifetime. Blame is easy. It feels safe. It feels justified. The world did this to you. People didn't see you. People didn't see you. Circumstances weren't fair. Life handed you the short end of the stick. And when you point at someone else, you feel a momentary relief. You don't have to look in the mirror. You don't have to feel the weight of your own choices. But that relief is a trap, because the faster you blame, the slower you grow. The faster you point fingers, the longer you stay broke mentally, spiritually, and even financially. Blame keeps you small. Every time you say it wasn't your fault, you give your power away. You hand over your energy, your focus, and your responsibility to something outside yourself. And when your energy isn't yours, you can't build, you can't create, you can't evolve. You're stuck running in circles, reacting to what happened instead of shaping what's coming. That's why people who blame are always behind. They're not moving forward. They're just trying to catch up. Being broke isn't just a number in your bank account. It's a state of mind. When you blame others, you live in scarcity. Scarcity of control, scarcity of opportunity, scarcity of vision. You wait for someone to fix your situation. You wait for luck to swing your way. You wait for approval before you move. And waiting keeps you broke. Real wealth, mental, spiritual, financial, starts when you stop waiting and start owning. Ownership is the antidote to blame. Blame also corrodes your relationships. People can sense it. Nobody wants to ride with someone who never looks at themselves. When you blame, you alienate the people who could elevate you. You push away mentors, allies, friends, even family. Bridges burn quietly under the heat of excuses. And before you know it, you're alone with your complaints. Being alone with your complaints isn't wisdom, it's poverty. The mind doesn't grow when it's busy blaming, it shrinks. Every excuse you make strengthens patterns that keep you stuck. You start believing your own narrative so much that you stop learning. You stop seeing opportunities. You stop taking risks. Your mind becomes a cage, and the bars are the lies you tell yourself about who's responsible. Spiritual wealth is lost too, because blame keeps you angry, resentful, and disconnected from the reality that life is what you make it. Blame is also a distraction. It keeps you busy, but not productive. You spend more time crafting stories than crafting solutions. You rehearse complaints instead of rehearsing skills. You argue instead of improving. And while you're focused on everyone else, life keeps moving. The people who accept responsibility, who own their mistakes, who face hard truths, they're building wealth, knowledge, and character while you're still stuck explaining why it's not fair. The truth is this: nobody owes you. The world don't stop because you're hurt, disappointed, or frustrated. Opportunities won't knock because you feel wronged. Mentors won't hand you guidance because you got dealt a bad hand. Everything you want comes to the people who take responsibility first and figure out the rest later. Blame is the opposite of that. Blame is waiting for life to make sense instead of making sense of life yourself. Growth comes when you flip the script, when you look in the mirror and say, what can I do about this? How can I move forward? That's empowerment. That's wealth. That's freedom. That's how mental poverty ends, how spiritual poverty ends, and how financial poverty ends. Ownership is the currency. Accountability is the investment. Discipline is the interest. The more you apply, the faster you grow. Blame makes life heavy. Ownership makes life powerful. Stop rehearsing the past. Stop blaming. Stop giving your energy away to people, circumstances, or your history. Start taking action. Start learning. Start building. Wealth isn't just money. It's clarity of mind, strength of spirit, and power of action. And all of it comes to the people who own their lives, not the ones pointing fingers. When you finally stop blaming, you realize how much time, energy, and potential you've wasted. You realize that freedom, peace, and prosperity were always within reach. They just needed you to take responsibility. And once you do, you'll see that the only limits in life were the ones you let your excuses create. Stop blaming, start building. That's how you win.